Welcome back to another deep dive. I am so glad you're here with us today, learner, because we are getting into something that honestly affects every single one of us.
Yeah, it's a topic that really hits close to home for a lot of people, I think.
Totally. So, our mission today is unpacking this incredibly fascinating dialogue from our notes between two thinkers, Nick and Maya. And they are tackling what they call the standardization trap
Yeah.
in our education systems and, well, just society in general.
Right, and it's this idea that systems we built for efficiency are sort of accidentally crushing the very diversity that makes humans, extraordinary in the first place.
Exactly. We've got a whole stack of notes here dissecting this. We're going to look at why we treat humans like factory products and what we end up losing in that process. So, okay, let's unpack this.
I think the best place to start, drawing from Maya's initial question in the text, is to look at why standardization even exists. I mean, is some level of it necessary?
Right, because it didn't just come out of nowhere to make us miserable.
No, exactly. It solves a real problem. Think about a bottle factory. If you are running a pristine assembly line, every single glass bottle coming off that belt has to be identical down to the millimeter.
Right, or the caps don't fit.
Exactly. It's efficient. The whole supply chain hums along nicely because there are zero variables. The logic of that bottle factory is just, it's completely unassailable when you're producing objects.
But the problem, and this is where the notes get really heavy, is when we take that exact same mechanical efficiency and apply it to human beings.
Yeah, that's the systemic failure right there.
We take this rigid, identical bottle logic and just force it onto biology. And suddenly, that beautiful predictability looks a lot like a tragedy.
It becomes the absolute definition of a systemic mismatch. Because human development is this dynamic, organic process, but we try to run it through a static, mechanical filter.
Which leads us right to what the text calls the conventional path. I mean, this is basically the human assembly line.
Oh, absolutely.
You know the drill. You follow the path, you sit in rows, you get good grades, earn your qualifications, plug into a normal job, earn money, retire, and then basically just have your kids repeat the cycle.
It is a perfectly linear trajectory. And for massive institutions, it's great because it lets them categorize people quickly.
But, okay, I want to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
Looking at that trajectory, is there actually anything inherently wrong with that path? I mean, it provides a ton of stability for a lot of people. Right?
Oh, yeah. That is a really crucial distinction to make. There is actually nothing inherently wrong with that path, provided a person genuinely chooses it.
Right.
If someone looks at that highly structured life and feels like, it aligns with their internal wiring, if it brings them satisfaction, then it is a perfectly valid way to live. The societal damage doesn't come from the path itself.
It's the exclusivity of it.
Precisely. The damage happens because this conventional path has become the only respected path.
Oh.
It's not offered as just one option on a menu of human experiences. It's enforced as the sole legitimate road to dignity and, well, economic survival.
So if a culture collectively decides that the assembly line is the only way to be valuable, anyone who doesn't fit the mold is just, defective?
Exactly. They get categorized as defective.
Yeah, defective. That is such a heavy label, but it fits the manufacturing metaphor perfectly. If a bottle is too wide, it jams the machine and gets tossed in the recycling.
Right, it's a glitch in the system.
So this brings up a huge question. If society is so committed to enforcing this single path, how do they actually do it? Like, how do you force millions of entirely unique brains into the exact same glass mold?
Well, you do it through standardized evaluation. Exams.
Of course, tests.
Yeah, continuous high-stakes testing. That is the quality control scanner of the human assembly line.
Which, to be fair, some evaluation is necessary, right? Like, I want my surgeon to pass an anatomy exam.
Oh, absolutely. We need to know the engineer building the bridge understands physics. Evaluation itself isn't the enemy here.
Right. So where does it go wrong?
What's fascinating here is when you look at the nature of the evaluations we use to gatekeep success. The notes point out that our mass evaluations are measuring the wrong cognitive functions.
How so?
Well, high-stakes standardized exams primarily measure working memory and compliance. They measure your willingness to follow a rigid format.
Oh, wow. So they don't actually measure deep understanding.
No, and they certainly don't measure creativity. They just measure the ability to repeat, not the ability to generate new ideas.
So it's basically optimizing for parroting.
Exactly. And this is where the neurological facts from the text come in, which I find just mind-blowing.
Yeah, let's get into the neuroscience of this.
So we aren't just talking about, a philosophical dislike of tests. We are talking about how we physically wire the brain. The neural circuits for compliance and memorization operate on entirely different pathways than the circuits for creativity and divergent thinking.
Wait, really? They're completely different circuits.
Completely different. And because of neuroplasticity, the brain adapts to whatever it's rewarded for. Neurons that fire together wire together.
Right, use it or lose it.
Exactly. It's called synaptic pruning. The pathways we don't use are actively dismantled to save energy.
Okay, wait, I just had a thought. Let me map this out because this makes so much sense.
Go ahead.
It's like the bottle factory from earlier is actually located inside our own heads.
Oh, that is a great way to put it.
Think about it. If society only pays us and grades us to turn on the compliance and memory conveyor belt, the machinery for innovation literally rusts from disuse.
Yes, that is biologically what is happening.
By training the brain strictly for tests, we are actively starving the circuits responsible for innovation. We're pruning our own creativity just to get an A on a rubric.
You can systematically train a brain to be world-class at taking tests while allowing its capacity for original thought to just wither away.
That is genuinely terrifying.
It is. The system manufactures a highly compliant brain.
Which means we really need to pivot to the human cost here. Because if we are systematically starving innovation circuits, who is being left behind?
Basically, any mind that doesn't process the world through a linear, mechanical lens. The text highlights a few specific casualties.
Yeah, the notes mentioned the brilliant inventor. Let's talk about her. She can see these massive connections that nobody else sees.
Right, but her brain is optimized for divergent thinking, not sequential memorization, so she struggles with standardized tests.
Because school is presented as the ultimate judge of intelligence, she actually grows up believing she's unintelligent.
Which is a tragic loss for society.
Yeah.
We lose out on whatever medical device or clean energy solution she was going to invent.
Just cause a broken metric convinced her she wasn't smart enough to build it.
Exactly.
And then there's the gifted artist. Someone who can capture complex emotional realities. But since you can't quantify that easily on a spreadsheet, the system treats her talent like a frivolous hobby. She ends up feeling like a failure.
Or think about the talented craftsman.
Mm-hmm.
Someone whose intelligence is physical, they work with their hands, but conventional culture tells him he isn't successful because he doesn't want a corner office.
All these people are being forced through the factory scanner, and it's just flashing red. It marks them as defects simply because they don't fit the mold.
Right.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. You know that famous quote, the one about judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree?
Oh, yeah. It'll live its whole life believing it's stupid.
Exactly. It's on a million motivational posters. But let's actually look at the biology of that metaphor because it nails exactly what we were talking about.
Biology is what makes it so perfect. Think about a fish. It's an evolutionary marvel. It has gills, a swim bladder, fins. It is an absolute genius of fluid dynamics.
Right, but if you drop that fish at the base of an oak tree and tell it to climb, it looks completely incompetent.
Because it lacks claws, it lacks the skeleton for gravity. The fish isn't broken. The standard of measurement is just absurd.
The system is the problem, not the fish.
Exactly. And to scale that up, the text uses another metaphor to connect this to the bigger picture, the monoculture forest.
Yes, this is where it shifts from individual tragedy to a systemic threat.
So imagine walking into a forest where every single tree is identical, same species, same height, planted in perfect geometric grids.
Honestly, that wouldn't even feel like a forest. It would feel sterile, like a timber farm.
Because a forest of identical trees is basically ecologically dead, a real thriving forest gets its resilience from extreme diversity.
Right, you need tall trees for the canopy, but you also need shade plants.
You need deep roots for droughts, shallow roots to stop erosion, different species to fix nitrogen and provide different fruits.
And from a survival standpoint, that identical tree factory is incredibly fragile.
Yeah.
Like if one specific beetle comes through, the whole forest is wiped out because they all have the exact same vulnerability.
Diversity is quite literally nature's defense mechanism.
So bringing that back to us, human society needs that same diversity.
Exactly. A society has to value diversity of talent and mind just as much as it values diversity of appearance.
But our current system is actively doing the opposite. It's cultivating a monoculture forest of minds.
And here is the kicker. The system isn't filtering these minds out by accident. It is doing it systematically.
Oh, wait, really? It's intentional.
Well, the system was designed during an era that needed identical bottles. It was built to produce obedient factory workers. It was never designed to grow a diverse forest of independent thinkers.
Wow, so the filter's working exactly as it was intended to work. It sees the fish, notes its lack of tree climbing skills, and tosses it out.
Yep.
Okay, so the diagnosis is super clear here. We've engineered a monoculture forest. We've built an infrastructure that starves innovation and rewards compliance. So what does this all mean? How should our education system actually function?
Well, it requires completely flipping the core question we ask. Right now, the whole system forces people to ask, how do I fit into this system?
Right, like how do I contort myself to fit this rubric and get the job?
Exactly. But a new framework demands that education helps individuals answer a different question. How can I become the best version of myself?
Oh, I love that. It shifts the goal from molding people to actually discovering who they are.
And that fundamentally redefines civilization. Education shouldn't be about teaching what to think or memorize. It should be the guided process of discovering who we are.
Helping people figure out, am I an inventor, an artist? Am I a climber or am I a swimmer?
Exactly, because a civilization only becomes truly extraordinary when every individual is given the opportunity to become fully themselves.
Going back to the fish, it doesn't need remedial tree climbing lessons.
No, it doesn't need a tutor for claw development.
It just needs to be recognized for what it is. It needs the water it was born to swim in. When you put that fish in a coral reef, it looks like a genius.
But society only gets to benefit from that genius if it actually provides the right environment.
Man, this is such a profound paradigm shift. And as we wrap up this deep dive, we really want to turn the lens over to you, the listener.
Yeah, because this isn't just theory. What stands out to you in all of this?
We'd love for you to reflect on your own experiences. When were you judged by a standard that just didn't fit you?
When were you the fish holding a report card that said you weren't good enough?
What hidden talent did you have that the rigid system totally failed to see? Because recognizing this trap means unlearning a lot of stuff. It means realizing the scanner was broken, not you.
That's beautifully said. And to leave you today, there is one final, really provocative thought from the conclusion of the source material that we saved just for this moment.
Oh yeah, this is the one that really reframes the whole thing from a personal loss to a collective tragedy.
The question is this: if the fish spent its whole life trying to climb, what ocean did we lose that it was meant to explore?
Wow. Think about all those uncharted waters just waiting for the right explorer. Thank you for joining us for this deep